Today, we're going to talk about environmental pollution and human health. First, we're going to talk about human environment. Then, we're going to talk about the relationship between human and environment. Third, we're going to talk about environmental pollution and its effects on human health. The definition of environment refers to all the surrounding conditions that affect people's health. This includes the water we drink, the food we eat, and the air we breathe. The classification of environment falls into two kinds. They are natural environment or social environment. The picture on the left is the picture of Grand Canyon, and the picture on the right is a picture of Niagara Falls. Both of them are natural environment. Now this is a picture of Victoria Falls, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. This is also an example of natural environment. The second one is social environment, which refers to the environment people live in, such as buildings, streets, or schools. Environment can be divided into primary and secondary environment. Primary environment is a natural form, such as forest, and secondary environment is made up by human activities, such as cities. The composition of environment is made up by atmosphere, ecosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere. We'll talk about them one by one. The atmosphere can be further divided into several layers or stratifications. On the bottom we have troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, and then we enter into thermosphere or outer space. And then on the outside we have exosphere. The air in the atmosphere is mostly nitrogen, about 78%, and oxygen, about 21%, and the rest is mostly carbon dioxide. Different layers of the atmosphere have different properties. For example, you can see that the pressure, the density, the temperature, or the speed of sound varies from layer to layer. The hydrosphere describes the combined mass of water found on a planet. Most of the water is stored in the ocean. The sun provides energy, and the water evaporates and condenses into cloud, where some of the water is stored in the atmosphere. Sublimation refers to the process where solid turns directly into gas. And evapotranspiration, or simply transpiration, refers to the process where water passes through plants into the air. Now the water in the atmosphere can precipitate into ice or snows or rain. The snow melt can run off into streams, and this water can infiltrate into the ground and becomes groundwater, where it can discharge into springs or freshwater storage. Eventually, all this water goes back into the ocean, and this is referred to as the water cycle. Next, we enter into lithosphere. The word litho means rock, so lithosphere means rock sphere. The outermost shell of Earth is crust, then mantle, and then outer core, followed by inner core. The lithosphere is made up by crust and uppermost solid mantle. Biosphere is the place on Earth's surface where life dwells. So biosphere is the zone of life. So what is an ecosystem? An ecosystem is a biological system consisting of all the living organisms or biotic components in a particular area, and a non-living or abiotic component with which the organism interact, such as air, mineral, soil, water, and sunlight. This is an example of an ecosystem. You have the producer, consumer, and the decomposer. Producer, such as this tree over here, and the consumer, such as this kangaroo over here, and decomposer, such as this fungi over here. We have looked at various components in an ecosystem, whether they are biotic or abiotic. We need to consider the components in an ecosystem to function as a unit in the following aspects. That is their productivity and the decomposition and energy flow, and also nutrient cycling. Next, we enter into a very important concept, bioaccumulation versus biomagnification. Bioaccumulation is the accumulation of substances in living organisms, whereas biomagnification is the increase in the substance concentrations as you go higher in the food chain. Now this is very important. I want you to remember this. This is an example of bioaccumulation. DDT is a pesticide used some 50-60 years ago. DDT in water is trace amount. Now when DDT in zooplankton reaches 0.04 ppm, a small fish eats zooplankton, and the DDT in small fish reaches 0.5 ppm. A large fish eats small fish, and a large fish, DDT in large fish reaches 2 ppm. Now DDT in fish-eating birds further accumulates and reaches 25 ppm. So you can see that as you go higher in food chain, the DDT concentration increases about 10 million times. This is very important. Please take note.